What's up, everyone? Good afternoon. I didn't make a video last week, y'all. It was a lot going on, but I got a few minutes. I am actually in the car waiting for my husband to get out of a knee surgery. He's having his knee scoped today, so I am going to be becoming Nurse Kayla today for the next 10 days or so, and I'm also going to be the Uber driver because I can't drive. So y'all pray for me. The Lord is going to be growing me in patience and kindness. Pray for Christian that Sophia doesn't jump on his knee and hurt him. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. But I did want to get a video out while I have a few minutes because I'm probably going to have a busy week. And today I want to talk about holiness. Holiness is one of those real churchy kind of religious words that at this point I feel like in culture has a bad rap. I feel like most people actually avoid the association with holiness because there is this association with it of kind of like self-righteousness or not being relatable. And so most people, even Christians, don't want people to like consider them to be holy. You know, like we use the term, don't be holier than thou, or, you know, like when we say it in kind of this negative, there's a negative connotation that comes with the word holy. But that's kind of a problem for believers, since the scriptures say that the Lord tells us to be holy, for I am holy. We know that one of God's main attributes is his holiness. It's the only one that it says of him 3 times that he is thrice holy, 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 holy. But also it's something that he calls us to be. But I guess we first need to define the word, right? So that maybe we can have a better understanding of what holiness is and why we should be pursuing it. And I think some of that has to do with most people don't even know what holiness means. We just associate it with like somebody who thinks that they're better than people, goody two shoes, versus what it actually means, and what it should look like in our lives. So for one, the holiness of God, right, is a different type of holiness than the type of holy that we can be. God's holiness is his otherness, his complete separateness from all other beings in the universe. God is bigger and outside, transcended above all other things. And so when we talk about his holiness, that is one of the ways that we talk about him being holy, because holiness has multiple layers to his meaning and his definition. So that's the first thing, that he is other. He is separate from everything and everyone else in the universe. 2, holiness refers to moral perfection. God is morally perfect. He has no moral flaws. He does everything correct, right, good, and true. And so when it talks about our holiness, sorry for the pause, they were calling, let me know surgery is over. Our holiness is that God has set us apart. God has set us apart. He has set his people apart from other peoples. That set apartness, however, means that there is a distinctness about the way that people who follow God, who call themselves believers in Jesus Christ, Christians, that should be different than others. So let's talk about that a little bit, because most of us, like, being different is something that people celebrate in today's culture. We celebrate people different. You want to make your hair pink, purple, blue, cut it off, shave it off, whatever, wear it super long, we celebrate that kind of difference. But when we talk about being wholly different, right, being set apart and being different, we don't like that, right? Because it feels like you are condemning me for not being like you, but that's not what holiness is. Holiness is God has called you apart as a person who calls yourself to be a believer. He's called me apart as a person who calls themselves a believer, to live distinctly. And the reason being is so other people can see what God has done, is doing for your life, that is going to be attractive to other people. And for some people, that's going to not be attractive, right? Because we are sinners and our hardness of heart can cause us to reject the truth. But the reality is, most times, if we are truly living a holy life, and by holy, I don't mean this self-righteous weirdness or goody two-shoes, but a life that is seeking moral purity and moral perfection, but also one that is different people then begin to ask the question, what is different about you? And then you get the opportunity to talk about God. You get the opportunity to brag on God, but also it gives you the opportunity to experience God, because when you stop doing things the way that the world tells you to do, the way that your mama told you to do it, the way that your heart and your feelings tell you to do things, you then get to experience God and know God on a different level. So holiness is not just what you should do on a Sunday, how you should dress, all of those kind of things. Those things are true, because I think holiness encapsulates your whole life. So if you are living to be a person who is set apart and seeking that moral perfection that God calls us to, then it is going to look like your language is different than the people that you surround. It is going to look like that you dress a little bit different than the people in your circle. If you're a parent, you're going to parent differently, and your values for your family is going to be different. If you're married, your marriage is going to be different. And I'm saying different because that set apartness is going to look different to everybody. So holiness, the pursuit of holiness, will show itself in every area of your life. It is not just this weird social gap between you and the world, right? As the Bible says that we should be in the world, but not of it, right? And being of it means that you're not made of the same thing. You don't have the same values that the people around you have if you're surrounded by people who do not follow the Lord. Also, if you are truly holy or seeking holiness, that set apartness, the world should feel a little bit uncomfortable. It should feel a little bit like, I don't really feel like I belong here. And not in a way that you're not relatable to people, but realizing that this is not our home. This is not the goal. The goal is not the American dream. The goal is not a whole bunch of followers. The goal is to know God and to let as many other people as you know God as well. And so holiness, there is a sacred discomfort that comes with it as we're pursuing it, because it's going to feel uncomfortable in this flesh and in the world to live holy. Because as I said before, based on the definition, to be set apart and to be other, when you're in something that everything else is unlike you, it's going to be a little uncomfortable. It's going to be a little weird sometimes. You're going to get some looks where people are going to be like, what are you doing? Why did you say that? Why did you choose to do that? You know, for me, that's been, why did you choose to get married so young? Why, when I was dating, why aren't you and your husband or your fiance or your boyfriend? Why aren't y'all kissing? Why aren't y'all standing in the same room? Why are you not dressing this way? My husband, you know, we talk about modesty, and I'm going to do a whole thing on that. Like, he's one of the most modest dudes I know, you know, former football player, nice physique, but like, my husband doesn't walk around with his shirt off. He doesn't ever. Like, only if he's at the beach or at the pool will you see Christian Norman without a shirt. And if he gets out of that water, he's immediately putting it on. People are like, why? Like, you're doing too much. No, he's pursuing holiness. He's doing something that's different than every other man probably that's around. And I'm not saying that that's the rule and that you should do that, but I'm just saying that's an example of a person that I know who is seeking holiness, right? Is seeking to be modest in that way. And so you're going to get weird looks. You're going to get comments about, why are you doing that? Or you're doing too much. But it's like, I would rather people be saying that I'm doing too much than to have to face God and didn't do enough. And I'm not saying to earn your salvation. I'm not saying that you earn your salvation, but I think that too many of us as believers and as Christians actually are trying to do the bare minimum when it comes to holiness. We are trying to see, how close can I get to the line and still call myself a believer? How close can I get to the line and still feel guilt-free? Well, the thing about that, my friends, my brothers and my sisters, is that is really just legalism. That is really just me feeling like I'm doing enough to earn the favor of God versus actually living in the grace of God, which I think is where we do that when we're seeking holiness to the furthest degree, because we are not going to be perfect, but our pursuit of perfection is where the grace of God is going to meet us, not in us trying to create these rules that we follow just close enough that we still feel good about it, because that's not about God. That's about us. Too many times I've seen that. And I've seen this in my own life. Before I really surrendered my life to God, I was trying to do everything as close to the line as I possibly could, because I felt like that the line was where real life was and real fun was, versus realizing that the real life and the real joy was found in obedience to God and walking in holiness. So y'all, I'm not going to preach too much longer. But I do want us to consider why, if something that God calls us to be, he says, be ye holy for I am holy. If holiness is this set apart lifestyle that should be in every single part of our lives that are drawing us and others closer to God, why are we not pursuing that? Why don't we want people to say of us, man, this person is the holiest person I know, and it be for the good, not for some goody two-shoe weird social. And even if it is, if you're doing so in efforts to honor the Lord and not to earn your salvation or to make yourself look good from others, so be it. Jesus said that the world was not going to understand, or to put it the way he said, that it would hate you because of him, because we don't belong here. The things that we do, our values, our patterns of life, our speech, the way that we spend our money, how we do relationships, how we do friendships, the jobs that we choose are all going to be based on the fact that we are set apart for a different purpose. Last thing I'm going to say, holiness has nothing to do with the thing itself, but more to do with what the thing is for. So Old Testament times, there were certain things that had holy use, right? They were only used in the temple for the purposes of God. And so when we apply that to our own lives of being people, a holy people, right, that have been called apart, it's not that you as an individual are somehow more special than other individuals. Your specialness, right? Your uniqueness, that thing about you that makes you holy is your relationship and your closeness to God. That's a good word right there. God can make any person a holy person. He can make anything, for instance, like a cup. The cup was holy because it was used in the purposes of God. So holiness really has to do with the purposes for which the thing that is being used is for. It's the purpose in which it is used for, not necessarily what the thing actually is. Therefore, our holiness has to do with the fact that our purpose, right? If you read a catechism, what is the ultimate purpose of man? It is to glorify God. So, my brothers and sisters, let's seek holiness. Let's seek to be set apart in everything that we do for the glory of God, to be in his presence, and to bring others along the way. Love y'all. See y'all later. I gotta go check on my husband.